Voices from the Mausoleum is brought to you by the You Run Podcast Network and yourunpodcast.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum. We are back with another author interview, this time with someone who has definitely been on the channel before, and that is Radar DeBoard.
Ooh, thanks for having me on. It's always a blast to come on. I'm so glad you guys got like a little sponsorship now from You Run. It's so it's so neat and cool that it just like plays in the intro now.
Yeah, Steve did that. He nailed it. Yeah,
did it. Did little intro. I love it. It seems so official.
Official.
You've arrived.
Seems official. We'll go.
Is it though? Yeah, it's like the first time he sent it to me, and he was like, "What do you think of this?" And it's like so like ASMR-y. Like he's like at podcast.com.
I have to enunciate, otherwise it's just going to be a bunch of just Long Island spewing at
letters. But yeah, so we're here to talk to Radar this time about his upcoming book, which is a couple of things we're going to talk about. I know specifically because this is your first time self-publishing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll jump into that. But the title is, we're going to add the photo post edit, I guess, because we don't want to cover everybody's faces. But the title is A Year in Horror. And it is a collection of microfiction, which is the first time I've ever even heard this term, microfiction, which is just a couple sentence, little short horror stories. And so there's 365 of them, right?
Yep.
And if you are familiar with Radar and you follow him on Twitter, you have seen his posts that are these little like short little horror stories. And so you decided to turn it into like a whole book.
Well, yeah, I mean, because I was like, I do them every morning, and it's always someone who's like in the UK or some other country, so there's like a huge time difference. So they and every day someone hosts it, and they post a one-word prompt, and you have to make like a little tiny story off of that.
Oh, that's cool.
One
okay.
Word. Yeah, so I do it every morning. So at like 5:30, when I normally like wake up and hit the snooze, go back to sleep, I look at it and go like, okay, the words, I got to come up with something like that while I'm sleeping, and I'll fall back asleep for another 10 minutes. I wake up and like type in a couple sentences. So I do that every morning basically. And like about a year and a half ago, I went, no, hold on. I've been doing this for a year and a half. I've got all these bad boys built up. I might as well put them together, because I think they're pretty solid. So I think they're pretty good and I was like, these will go great together, hopefully. And I think it turned out pretty well.
You know what it sort of reminded me of? Those like flip calendars that have something on them every day. Or like a horror version of that, which I'm like, we need something like that.
Which I know I was talking with someone else today, and they're like, can I get this in a calendar form? And I'm like, well, if I was Bill Gates, sure. I don't have any money for that. But that would be sweet. Just have a little picture and you flip it to the next day and it's like the little story.
Yeah. I was even thinking like the tearaways, the one where you just like tear like the word of the day things.
Well,
where
that's
you
what
just
I was thinking, right? It's just sort of
you just tear it off and
Yeah.
You get a little picture. That'd be great for like an office setting. You just like hang it on your wall. When people walk by, you're like, what's it for today? And it's like a picture of a kid getting ripped apart. And you're like, oh, it's a wholesome one today.
Yeah.
The daily pick-me-up,
The daily pick-me-up. Take that, Timmy. That's what you get.
So when you decided to put these into a book, like are all of them ones from Twitter? Did you end up coming up with some that are going to be just in the book? Like, how did you kind of decide what was going to go in it?
Yeah, so the vast majority of them are from Twitter. There's like one or two that I was like, let me throw some OG content in here. Give them a little razzle dazzle for the people who follow me on Twitter. Keep them on their toes. Go like, they're like, oh, I've seen all these before. Psych, there's two you haven't. Or something like that. Not a crazy amount, just enough.
Yeah.
Where did you pull those prompts from? Like the new ones from the book? Did you go back to like that UK person that posts, or did you sort of find prompts elsewhere then?
I kind of just like based off kind of like what I've seen, because I've seen a lot of the words, when you do it for, I think I've been doing it for 3 years now. So when you do it for that long, you kind of like have a feel for like what's a good word I could do a random, like a prompt off of.
Sure.
So I did that. I know for one of them, I just like clicked a random word generator and it popped up with one. I'm dumb, so I don't remember which one. That's the non-Twitter one. I don't know. So surprise everyone.
A surprise, even for you now.
So if someone goes like, I never saw that one on Twitter, I'll go like, well, maybe that's it. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. So
yeah. Well, I'm sure I've missed a bunch too, though, because they don't always, you know how Twitter is about like showing you stuff you want to see versus shit, like stuff you don't want to see. And so like I usually see them, and if I see them, I usually like them and I try to retweet them and stuff, but I know I've missed plenty because going through, because we got, the early reader for it. There was several that I didn't ring any bells, and it's probably because I just missed them because it was more than two, I think, that I didn't recognize,
Right. And a lot of these are like earlier ones too. So,
I was
gonna say, I don't even think we were following each other on Twitter when I started it.
Yeah. We've known each other a little over a year.
Yeah. So it's like, that's wild, but, but
and actually, the main reason, I'm not even going to lie to you, the main reason I know that it's at least close to that is because around this time last year, we did the Leprechaun Live.
God dang it. That Leprechaun Live. I came so prepared, and you were like, I watched 2.
I've seen and remember this many. I told you there was no way. No way I was going to get all of those in. There's too many. I watched the important ones, The Hood. That's like the most important one.
Oh, fair enough.
And then he continues to call me out on it when we talk on other shows. He's like, oh yeah, and then Angel didn't even watch all the movies.
I'm scornful about it.
I see that. They're not You're good. Like, I suffered and you didn't.
I mean, do you have to see all the leprechauns? I don't
see.
I mean, if it's your thing, sure, but
it shouldn't be anyone's thing. Let's be honest.
Yeah, for real.
But I love the idea of you just going back to the prompt idea and having this daily exercise. What do you like about having something sort of micro but creative to do each day? Like, what have you pulled from just that exercise alone?
I mean, it's if you're wanting to get into writing or you are a writer, I feel like doing this sort of write a story off of this one word prompt is just like a fantastic way to improve your writing. Because I can tell my microfiction has improved dramatically, and it's gotten honestly easier for me too. I can bang these suckers out in 10 or 15 minutes, depending on the word. There's some words that are I got to hand it to some of the hosts. They pull out some Gaelic word or something, or some Scottish dialect of this region word that I'm I don't know what this is. There's no vowels in this word. And I'm like,
I saw some wild ones in the book. I was like, what is this? I've never heard this thing before.
Yeah. I was like, what is this? So, you got to do a little Twitter. You got to go on Google real fast and go what is this? What is this word? And sometimes Google will go well, this might be the definition, but who knows?
Right.
Type deal. But I mean, if you don't get those, and it's just a word that's you can make something pretty easly off of it. And it feels so great to kind of flex those muscles and kind of grow that. Oh, it's nice. And I'll admit to it. My longer fiction is not so hot. It's not so strong, but I'm pretty good at the shorter stuff. So I feel that really jogs my really gets me going energy wise, that I can make a story so quickly. Because when you write a book, it's oh geez, it's been going on 3-4 months, and then you finally finish it, and then it's not. You got to do your edits, all of this. It takes so much work to put out into the world. But these microfictions, it's 20 minutes, send it out, throw some type of Twilight Zone-esque twist in half of the time, and people tend to love that.
You have quite a few that are just they end quite differently than they start, for sure, than you would think, which is good. Have any of these given you ideas for bigger stories, or you're just able to just completely cut that out and just focus on the micro?
It truly is like, I haven't thought of adapting any of them into like long-term stories, except
Really?
for Tasha did, like, cause she edited it for me and
Right.
she like sent it back and stuff. And she's like, you're killing me, dude. Cause a lot of these would make great longer fiction. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, maybe a few of them if I had time. But for the most part, I'm just disconnected. It's like, I've written it. I think it's great as a microfiction, and I don't want to like sully that by trying to like stretch it out, you know, because some of these prompts, it's like, this is it. That's all I have.
Sure.
I can't go any further.
It's like like a flash of an image, or just like but what I love about it is it challenges you. Like, in a long form story, you can kind of meander and really fill it in. With short form, you really have to be quick on coming up with the beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah, and well, especially because of the character limits on Twitter.
Yeah, no joke. Yeah.
That happens at least 3 times a week where I go, shit.
I know. Yeah. So, because I was thinking too, because they're not just, it's not just 2-sentence horror stories. Some of them are more than 2 sentences, right? I'm not crazy.
Yeah, it's like a combo. Like an excellent.
Yeah, it's like 3 or 4. It's still like, so like, I know, like, I got asked to be in the 2-sentence thing that Lauren Carter is doing. And when they asked me, I was like, oh, I'm so honored. And then I was like, how the fuck do you tell a whole story in 2 sentences? I was like, I literally wrote out 2 paragraphs and had to like condense it.
Oh,
so
wow.
what you've done is an art form. Like, it's not an easy task to do it, and to do that many, to tell complete stories that many times is, God knows I couldn't do it.
I mean, I don't know. To me, it feels like maybe like the easier way to do it. It's always felt easy to me. So I always feel like, and this is the imposter syndrome coming in that all writers have, where they're like, well, but look at this person, what they're doing with this book and stuff. Like, when I hear, when I read books from other writers, I'm like, how is this possible? This is amazing. How are they able to do this?
I know.
And I guess maybe they feel the same way about me writing my like 2-sentence little.
I'm certain that they do. Yeah. Reading it and like, how the hell can he do this every day and come up with this damn many? How? Like, because I'm telling you, that 2-sentence thing, that took me forever. I was like, I promise I will try my best to get it to you by the deadline. Like, it was hard. And so, like, when I would see your post on Twitter before you announced that you were going to do this book, it was just like, damn, he does these so often. I'm like, like, my brain just does not work that way. Like, there's just no way. No way.
It takes a little bit of work too, also. So they weren't great out of the starting gate. There was a couple of ones where I was, look, there's a lot that didn't make the cut. let's just be frank here.
Yeah.
There's a couple dog turds in the mix. That's
I'm sure most writers would, relate.
Yeah. It was such an interesting like beta reading process too, because there's no overarching story up to this. So I was just sending this out to like 10 people and going like, which ones are your favorite? Which ones are garbage? And so it was interesting getting those back mostly because no one agreed on which ones were the bad ones, which is like the ones I needed to cut. Well, yeah, but
I mean, but it's a compliment in its own right though, because it's like, because that's a testament, because the thing is like these vary so much in what you do with them as far as like content, like what you're doing with the story itself, that it's like literally, people advertise stuff like this all the time. There's literally something for any like type of horror lover. Like, there's so much going on that I imagine it would be difficult to get people to come to a consensus, because it's going to scratch different itches for different people.
Yeah. And it was so funny. I was down to like, all right, I was at like 370 and I'm like, I need to get it to 365. And I was waiting on like the last couple of beta readers and I'm like, here it comes, baby. And they sent them in and just all of them were different things that they didn't like. And I went, this doesn't help me at all. What am I supposed to do? What do I cut?
At that point, pick a number, right?
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, I don't like this one. I know for a fact I put too many caves in there. I'm like, if this one had a cave in it, I'm throwing it out.
I think that's probably a smart way to make those decisions, right? You're like, you want to have a good variety of flavor.
Ooh, I like that flavor. If there's because when I did the keywords for Amazon, I was like, okay, serial killer, monsters, aliens,
everything,
zombies, like just all the keywords you could possibly fit of different subgenres. They're in there. Not because I'm super creative, but just because that's how it happened.
Oh, stop. You took a word and came up with got your list down to 365 stories. That's plenty creative, I assure you.
It's such a doozy too, but I love it. I love doing it. So
yeah.
Brings me life force.
Yeah. So your other books, you went through a publisher for. You did those were published through an actual an indie pub. And so why the decision? I just want to talk about the transition from being not having to handle any of it to having to do everything and just kind of, because I've done self-publishing, so I know but just kind of talk about the differences between the two and how you came to that decision, that kind of stuff.
Right. It's a doozy of an experience going from traditionally published to self-published. Because like you said, it's sure, you do a lot of work front wise of writing the book, and doing your own edits. So people, it's a coherent story and people aren't just what is this? These chapters are run on sentence. But,
yes,
I end up doing a lot of, what is his name? Hemingway. I do a lot of Hemingway where I just run on sentence my way into a lot of stuff. But,
yeah.
But so it was interesting to stick with to have that traditionally published sort of thing. And it's nice in the fact that they took basically all that pressure off and they were just here's your edits. Take a look. Is this what you're after? Sure. Here's the cover. Here's what we made. Is it cool? Sure. All right. We did formatting. It's up. Oh, all right. I didn't have to publish it or anything myself. And that was nice, but I feel like the real Achilles heel of a publisher is just the incentive when it comes around advertising.
Sure.
Of something, because for a writer, their book is their baby, and you want to make sure your baby has a good future, so you are gonna promote the crap out of it.
Yes.
Or at least try to, or hire the right person. But with publishers, sure, they have some financial skin in the game. But if it's a publisher that they've got 80 books out, already, they're we got to care about these other ones, So I feel it's kind of they dropped the ball and stuff. And more recently too, with traditional publishers, at least with indie ones, I've noticed a lot of there's been a bunch of negative stuff where publishers are just ghosting their writers and then just closing their doors.
It's getting scary. Yeah.
Yeah, it's oh, that's wild. And then what was it? Polis, I think Polis Press just recently closed, which they were a really good publisher and stuff. So it's just sad that they had to close their doors and stuff. But that's always, a scary thing, because there's a bunch of really good writers, well-known award-winning writers that some of their books are now, they're what do I do with this?
Yeah. Brian Bowyer just did his Old Too Soon book, which just came out last year. And I don't know if it was with them or if it was somebody else, but the people that it was published through closed down, and he did get it re-signed. But, some of these people have a lot easier time doing that than others, because some people get contracts and it's their first one and then they get ghosted, or the company or the publisher just disappears, like you said. And then it's not so easy for them to just take their first time would have been to take somewhere else to try to get traction on it. And it is very, the best thing and worst thing about self-publishing is the level of control that you have over what's going on. Yeah.
And you kind of bring it up too, the other part that made me go screw this with traditional publishing is querying. It is awful.
No thanks.
It is horrible. I I would rather remove my own kidney without anesthesia than try to query it. It's awful. And it's like, I'm honored, like there's over the past year or so, like I'm honored that a lot of people like shortlisted my stuff, but at some point, being the bridesmaid and not the bride ends up hurting a lot.
Yeah, because you're still putting in the heart and the time and the love and the energy and the passion, and it just feels like it hits a brick wall.
Yeah, and it's so nice when there's it's unfortunate because like the really, really good indie publishers that are fantastic that I would absolutely 100% work with. Like if they reached out, they just don't have the resources. They're like, we can publish like 5 books a year.
It's hard. Because it costs a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It costs a lot.
To do it at the level that like I would think they would want to do it, to make sure they're doing right by the writers or the authors that they represent, it's costly, because especially when you're not like can do it all, like Kat can do everything. She can edit, she can format, she can do everything. I wouldn't have caught your run-on sentences. You don't want me editing your stuff. Like I have to pay, like when I do my stuff, like through the Voices anthologies, Tasha edits and Kat edits and formats for me, because you do not want me editing anything. And God knows I haven't learned formatting yet. So when you're outsourcing that stuff, it's expensive.
Yeah,
and
it's
wild.
And I'm really dumb. So like I do a lot of outsourcing. So
I have to do it too. And I was going to ask you to talk about like the kind of that process of the people that you used, and all the work that went into this, with it, the editing, formatting, the cover, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can do that right now. But traditional publishing, I'm done with it for now. Doing self-pub, and the process has been so eye-opening to just show me I don't know anything. I really don't. It's wild how much like I don't know, and I'm so glad that like, and it's funny because it's all been women, but like these incredible smart women have like that I've reached out to have been the ones helping me through the whole process. And I'm so damn glad they're smarter than I am, because like every step of the way, it's like, they'll like, message me with like, oh, here's some tips you should do. Like, try doing this and this. And it's so fun. Like the person who made the cover, Gemma Amore, she's a Bram Stoker nominated author. So she's super good at writing, but she's also so talented at making like book covers and painting and that sort of stuff. And I got her to do the cover, but she like, I guess I don't know what I'm doing on Instagram either, because she messaged me and was like, hey, here's a little trick to to resize it so it gets the full picture in it, because I posted the cover and I guess it cut it off a little bit. And she was like, but you should do this. And I was like, well, that's a game changer. And it's so funny because like I'm so thankful that like, I'm getting these tips and tricks from all these incredible people, because I'm like, that's definitely gonna help me in the future.
Yeah. You had like the creme de la creme team. Like of all the people that you worked with, you had like some of the best, like
truly
helping and supporting. Yeah.
And like I have the proof of it right here, but like
show it.
Cover. Look at this cover. Yeah. Good for her. But yeah,
I like it.
It is wild, and like the color scheme of it too is
stunning. I love it.
There's like a little tree on the sides. Look at that. But
so cute.
Yeah,
love it.
And I just like one of her books. It's like I always forget the name of it. The house, the once yellow house or something like that.
The yellow one. I know what you're talking about. With the faces, it's got multiple faces on the front of it.
Yeah, multiple faces. And I remember seeing it like a year ago and going like, holy shit, that cover is sweet. And I kept it like in the back of my head because I'm like, I'm gonna have to find out who she used to make that cover. And then like 6 or 7 months ago, she posted about how she does.
He had done it. Yeah.
And she was like, and it was there, and I went, oh damn, I got to get on this. So I reached out to her, and she was like, yeah, I can do it. Thank God. And I gave her the idea of what I wanted. Just someone on the cover, just someone decaying as like the year goes by behind them. And it's like she took the idea that I told her and just went, let me make it 10 times better.
Yeah.
Let me just really improve on this. And she did. Look, I mean, the color and everything, it's worth every penny. So she was like kind of the first step in the process for sure.
Uh-huh.
I had some there were some great beta readers too who came in and like helped with that, who pointed some stuff out and went, maybe do this real fast, which is wild, and like 3-sentence horror stories to go like,
sure,
maybe change these words around, and it somehow just made it pop that much more. And then Tasha and Kat did editing, and obviously Kat did formatting, but God, they were so damn fast. It was wild. I was like, and as an author, you're used to going like, all right, I'll hear back from them in a couple of months here. And like, I remember handing it off to Tasha, and then like 2 weeks later, she's like, here's your edits. And that's just blazing fast speed. And then I remember, and Kat's so funny because she was like, I don't want to overpromise. I think this will take me about 2 weeks. This is definitely harder than other stuff I formatted. And then 3 nights later, she's like, oh, I finished it.
Yep.
I'm like, this is insane. The speed at which.
Yeah. She also suffers from imposter syndrome all the time. She's always saying she doesn't know like that she can do it, or she's worried it's not going to turn. I'm like, dude, I promise you everything you touch is gold. Don't even worry about it. Once it's done, it's going to be perfect.
Kat, if you watch this video, quit having that imposter syndrome.
Yes. We love you. You're fantastic.
Truly. But like I said, every step of the way, I'm so happy that like I had all these people in my corner, and Gemma also like talked me through the whole like process of like just uploading it onto Amazon and publishing it.
Yes. That is,
I would have fumbled my way around it for a good week and gone like, I don't know what I'm doing. I messed up at least 3 things, but she was like, this is what you do. This is what you do here. This is what you do here. So again, I'm so darn lucky. So if anyone's thinking about self-publishing, it's not, unless you want to do it all yourself, which I don't know if I'd recommend that. Maybe you're smarter than me and you can, but if you go the self-publishing route, reach out to your friends and your confidants who are in the industry, because they like make all the difference. No one does it alone. No one does it alone.
Yeah.
Definitely, for sure. That is what I have learned in this whole process.
I'm glad that you got to experience that though, because I feel like we always there's always some drama in every clique that exists, right? So every community has its problem children, its things that go awry. But I love hearing that like your experience with it was like such a really good sense of like reliable, trustworthy community, like making an effort because they're not just doing something you paid them to do. They're taking an interest in the future of the project. And when they do that, it means so much more, than sometimes people realize, because they're just doing it because that's who they are and they do care and they want to help and they just do that naturally. And to them, they don't really think about the fact that it's like huge to the people that they're, helping support, because it's no, I don't like from YouTube to writing to podcasts, like I haven't done the stuff I've done alone is the stuff that was not successful. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the community and like people being willing to share information and help and guide and offer, honest, like heartfelt criticisms is like, it's huge. It has like, it's complete, like you can't even put a value on it. It's just so high.
It is. And it's like, I feel really damn lucky, honestly, every step of the way. I feel like I've just tripped into these good people, like, oops. Like I feel like Harry Truman, because he gets named as the president who failed his way up into the presidency. I feel like I'm failing my way into a book launch. I'm like tripping into these like people, these successful people who are like, well, this is how you do it, bud.
Aww.
I feel like I'm getting coached at the Little League game how to hit a home run, and I hit it, and there's like, it's a huge swath of like the horror community on like the bench going, you did it, bucko.
Good job.
I hope you're feeling confident enough that from everything you're learning, you could be the person that helps,
Yeah,
there we go. Maybe down the line, I'd love to do that. I'd love to give back, And I mean, it truly is like, and like the horror community as a whole has been like so supportive. Like I've been doing a lot of reaching out, but like people on TikTok have been more than happy. They've been Like my TikTok friends have been boosting it. Authors on Twitter have been fantastic and showing their support. Obviously, you guys here on the YouTubes. But like even on Facebook, like random ARC reader groups, there's been like a whole bunch of support and stuff, and like
that's awesome.
Legitimate people who are like, oh heck yeah, let me do that, you know, or they're like, do you have like 3 or 4 people said, do you have like physical copies that you could give out? And I was like, well, I don't. Sorry. And they're like, that's fine. I'll just buy it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's fantastic. That's already support that like you don't even know me, but I love that. You're already there, like in my corner. So it's very wholesome. # wholesome. Go horror community.
That's right.
The horror community can be very wholesome, which surprises people who are not in it sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's like, what? You watch and you read that and you're this, and it's like, well, yeah, I mean, come on. It's just what we like to enjoy in our free time.
Yeah. You know, one of my like favorite quotes ever was a horror author that's not really on the scene anymore. But he was doing an interview with somebody about a book coming out or that had just come out. And he was talking about the fact that like, you know, there's this weird stigma around being a horror fan. He's like, which is so weird. Cause like we all have at least one animal. Like we're all like big animal lovers. We're like really nice. And we have like, you know, do we do anything for you? And he's like, but people think because we watch this stuff that like, we're just not like that at all. But I thought it was funny. Cause like, it's true. Like, I don't know, like you have a dog, right? Radar, you have a dog?
Yeah, I got a dog and a cat.
You have both. Okay, so I know, Steve, you have...
I have a dog, yeah.
I almost said a toddler. Don't take offense. I'd say the same thing about... I have one of those too. I have 3 animals that live in my house. I have 2 cats and a child. But it was just funny because I don't know many horror fans that don't have at least one pet. Like it's it's just crazy to think about those things. But yeah, it's true. Like the community, especially when you get in with like the group that I feel like we all know, like not just in the writing, reading world, but like the horror content creators, the podcasters, the people who do content with us, like we've gotten very lucky that we have this like very consistent group of friends, basically, that we've created this just like community with. So I love that you were able to like, did it help with like the anxiety of it all?
I mean, definitely for sure. Just how eager everyone was to jump in and help stuff. And, you know, like, and the feedback so far has been really good. People love the stories and stuff. And, you know, there's always like this huge anxiety as a content creator of anything that you're like, you know, oh Lord, did I just release dog shit into the world? You know, am I going to get stomped to death by like critics out there? But it's super reassuring to have people go like, no, man, this is good. Like, you're doing good.
And you're doing good work, and you put out something that not a lot of people do, right? So it's unique,
super unique.
It's going to draw people in because of the concept of itself, you know?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's such a novel idea, I feel like, because I don't think there's already like, you know, a bunch of like short story anthologies and stuff, or even like short like ones where it's like, you know, 30 or 40 in a book, but I don't think this small, you know?
No.
And I mean, there's drabbles, which are stories that are exactly 100 words. And I know that's growing a lot, but again, I don't think it's this small and like,
I think you got ahead of this. Yeah, no, I think you got ahead of this. Is microfiction something you've like, is that something that existed before this? Cause I've never heard that before.
Yeah, oh, it definitely did. Cause I'm not smart enough to invent it.
Stop.
I'm not smart enough to slap those 2 words together and go like, yes, you know, and make it sound good. But it's exist. I think microfiction also like is just for anything under 1,000 words. I think I'm not. Don't quote me.
I don't know. It's like trying to learn the difference between novelette, novella, and novel. Like I know what order they go in, but I don't know what constitutes one from the other.
Because novella is like 100 pages or so, right? 90 to 100.
Yeah, it's like around there. I know it's based off word count though. So
yeah, and novelettes are usually like 50 pages. They're short, but like I don't know. Like I've read stuff that's like 150, and it still feels like a novella. I don't know. I just it's like it feels like this to me. So that's what it is.
Well, 150 pages, you're in like R.L. Stein territory.
Yeah.
Like YA.
I don't think I consider any of his stuff novellas, but I don't know. I feel like there's only like 200 people who know what it is.
Yeah.
They're not.
When I think novel, I think like length Angel doesn't want to read. But if that includes things that are only 200 pages, then I guess that's not really true. But that's what I always think. I always think those like huge books that I'm just going to buy but never get to.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, the closest thing I can think of to like microfiction, I mean, millennials might remember these books. They were all named something like based on a drug. It was like all like crank and burn, and
they were like this big.
They were like that big, and every
I have
chapter
all
was
three of
almost like a
those.
poem, but it was written all over
jumbly and weird.
Right.
Remember?
I remember that. Yeah. I was like, a specific Crank was the big one. That was like,
and Burn. I remember because the cover, and there was another one
series of them, and it was all like poems and short things based on like drugs, I guess.
Addiction. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but
that's
I got a hand
I could think of.
Yeah. But that's so cool that they were able to do like the little circle poem in it and stuff. I remember that opening it and going like, "Whoa, this is wild." You could really
felt like you were on the journey. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, you could really do some crazy stuff on the page.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll do that. And then
well, the next microfiction you do, you'll just have to have like an eldritch being coming out of the page.
Yeah.
I'll just do the swirl on every single page. It won't be even like special. By the time they get to the end, they'll go like, "Oh God, I've had to flip this book over 800 times to read this."
Just constant circle. That's the standard for the next project.
There we go. All my books from now on will just be just a circle, even if it's just a regular book. I'll just put it.
Oh no.
Printed vertical, or like every sentence sort of ends on a different part of the page, and so when you have to turn it, it starts off on a different part of the book.
Oh no.
That would make so many people angry.
I don't know. People do that House of Leaves craziness. I feel like people get committed to reading stuff sometimes. They'll just put themselves through hell. That's fair. People will. Well, I hear people talk about, is it House of Leaves, the one that takes like 30 years to read and finish all the things in it? Or it's like, it's a really convoluted book, but it does like, oh man.
Do you have to like figure out how to read it? Is it like a mystery?
I think so.
I've heard that.
Okay.
It's almost like a puzzle to read, sort of.
Okay. It's almost like a mystery box kind of thing.
But it takes like, I've heard it takes a really, really long time to get through like all the things.
Interesting.
No, I would set that on fire. There's no way. Nope. First of all, it's over 100 pages, so no, I'm just kidding. Angel stops at 100, baby. I read stuff bigger than that. It just takes me a long time. But when people told me all the stuff that was involved, I was like, that is something I will never. No, it's not.
That does sound like way too much.
Too much of a commitment. But I guess it's a challenge. People like challenges, but
I guess that's true. Well, this book definitely isn't challenging, so don't worry, peeps. I got you covered.
Fun.
Now, would you recommend people just sort of blast through it, or could you almost treat it like almost like a bedside book, and like every day I'm going to treat myself to a little radar DeBoard microfiction?
Do whatever. I know I'm sure people will have different ideas or something. If they're like, to them, if they're like, this is, after 20 stories, this might get a little stale for me. Put it down, come back, a week later, what have you, or, say that, do 20 or 30 in a setting and then do something else. Or if you want to blast through it all at once, hey, I'm not going to argue with you,
Yeah.
They're varied enough that I think you can find something different with each story. There might be some similarities. Sure. I got 365 stories, but I mean, I think there's enough variation that you can just blow through it all at once, or you could really draw it out. That would be so cool if someone did, though, read like specifically went, well, he said a story each day, and then just a year from now was like, I finally finished the book.
Yeah. Well, and I think because they're written the way they're written, and because they're short like they are, I think when people go to read them, even if their intention is maybe not to just keep going and just like get through a bunch, you'll find that you've gotten through more than you realized you've gotten through, because they're just so, like you just get into a rhythm and you just keep going and going and going.
I hope so. I hope that's the consensus with people, because like, you know, you never, because I never know too in the moment when I'm writing this on Twitter if people, if I wrote something good or I just wrote something stupid. And it's such a fine line too, you know, and like it's always interesting to see which things people like stories of these that people are like, oh yeah, that really resonated, you know, and they'll get a lot of retweets and people go like, wow, that was incredible. And when I post it, I'll go like, well, you can't win them all, bud. Dud for the day, you know. So it's always interesting to see which ones people like gravitate towards, because some I'm like, this is banger, and it just gets no interaction whatsoever, and I'm like, okay, maybe I don't know what's up here. maybe I don't know what I'm doing, you know. So it's always interesting. It'll be really fun to like in a couple of months see what stories people are like, yeah, this one I like, this one and this one.
Yeah,
you know, I'm really looking forward to what people think are their favorites. I feel like there's maybe 2 or 3 in here that I'm like, yeah, those are probably going to be at the top of everyone's list, but then the rest it's just like anyone's guess.
Yeah,
I can tell you, I was really vibing with a lot of your like cosmic horror ones, which is why I sort of made the Eldritch Being joke before. I was like, it's a good niche you got in there. Those were the ones I found myself really vibing.
Oh, nice. Okay, I like. Yeah, I mean, I need to do more of those, honestly. When I do these, I feel like I've kind of gotten away from doing the cosmic element, but I love the cosmic horror vibe, and you can honestly do a great job like making those stories with these microfictions.
Yeah,
because cosmic horror, you don't describe anything. You know, you go, it was beyond your imagination, and it was terrifying. That's a cosmic horror story. Right there. So I mean, I think it's perfect for this kind of format. You couldn't put a gothic horror story as a microfiction. That would never work. But cosmic horror for sure.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But you know what? That'll be the challenge though. Now you got to make a gothic micro.
Oh my god.
You just set up a challenge for yourself. Now you have to.
I don't even know how it would start. I truly don't. Because they spend like 4 pages describing a stairway. You know?
Yeah. I guess you would like, because always if you break it down to almost like 3 sentences, right? Like first act, second act, third act, right? It's like maybe the first sentence is like that's where you describe a lot of stuff. I don't know.
That's where you do your run-ons.
You don't have to ever finish the story if the sentence is running on. Ring.
That's it. 1 book, 1 sentence. There's the
The comma is strong. It's my most powerful.
Slow down, but you don't stop. This is very serious stuff. What's the release date for this?
Oh yeah, so it comes out on April 9th. I definitely wanted to give enough time to kind of get the buzz going, because like I said, I know this is like a pretty new or novel idea. So I know that like I'm sure a lot of people will gravitate towards it, and it's super easy to promote too. Because like you just go 365 stories, 1 for each day of the year. There you go.
Yeah.
Pretty simple, you know, like also I don't know what else I would describe it as other than that.
Sure. Yeah, because
yeah, but I mean, it's more of like I just need to get it out to as many people as possible to like for them to see it and realize it's out there. So that's why I had that release date a little bit out. Yeah, but it drops April 9th. But pre-orders are available right now for ebook anyways. Amazon doesn't do pre-orders for paperbacks.
No, they don't.
Unfortunately, I get it. I understand if people are like, I'm waiting for the paperback, because that cover is so sweet. Like, and it looks so much better, like physically holding it. Like, I mean, it looks great already as like a picture and everything, but like when I got the proofs and I was holding it, like the colors pop even more. And I was like, well, all right, now I understand. Like, I understand. I get it. No need to pre-order, y'all. But please do. Please do.
Yeah. All the links on where to pre-order and find it will be in the description for this episode to be able to do that anyway.
Ooh, thank you. Yeah, but
this is one that I'll have a physical of. I mean, and I don't know if anyone else has noticed this because it definitely took me a minute, but that's Radar on the cover.
I laughed when you commented that. I've had a lot of like friends and stuff who've seen it go like, man, you know, they whoever they got to model looks a lot like you and stuff. Whoever they drew that picture off of looks a lot like you. And I'm like, well, surprise.
Yeah. I had seen you posted the cover when you did your full cover reveal, and it'd been out for like a week or something. I don't know. It's been a little bit now. And I was like, you had reshared it or reposted something with it. And I was like, that's him on the cover. I was like, and then I had to comment and tell you how dumb I felt. Cause I was like, how did I not even like, it didn't even, I don't know. It didn't even register. And then I was like, that's him on the front.
Well, hey, I mean, like half of my face anyways. The other half's pretty gnarled up.
Yeah.
Is it trippy to see a decrepit version of yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, more than anything, it's cool. I won't lie.
Yeah.
Like
because she did that on her own, right? That wasn't something you specifically said.
She was like, "Can I use your like a picture of you or a family member as a reference?" And again, I'm not smart, so I sent like reference. Okay, she'll use it like for dimensions. So I sent her a picture of me, and then she just used me. And but when she sent the sketch through, I was like, "Well, this is so damn good. Keep going.
It's awesome. I love it. Yeah."
I was like, "Wait, let her cook."
Yeah.
Have at it, you know, like,
yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to complain with that. It's incredible, you know, and it's just like the right amount of like decay and stuff too. You know, it's not over the top. Cool. Well, I guess it's too much decay for Amazon because they won't let me promote it on their channel, but that's all right.
The gore.
Yeah. They're like, there's too much gore. And I'm like, well, is there Amazon? It's all right.
There could always be more, right? I mean,
there could always be more.
I know they're really they're really hard on things about like nudity on covers and stuff too. Like they're very like, it can't even like resemble nudity. Like if like, you know, like I've just seen some horror authors that have done things like different anthologies and stuff. Like the artwork is, you know, like maybe bisexual in nature, but it's and Amazon's like,
wow, really?
Like but it's like you choose like your age range, like
it's not being blasted to like kids, right? But it's like but you know what? It's so contradictory because then they'll go and like, you know, you'll see like The Walking Dead on the homepage and it's all like bloody zombies and stuff. So it's like, you know,
they're just not kind to the indie community. That's all it is.
The indie.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, it's all right. So what if I can't advertise on Amazon? They don't have the best advertising engine anyways. It's not that great.
You're better off just doing it the way you're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just word of mouth.
Yeah.
Drop a few bucks on TikTok or surprisingly Facebook and just watch it go. You know?
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just more about just getting people to look at the cover and figure out what it is. Cause I feel like it's a good enough idea that people will purchase it. You know, but
I agree.
Those paperbacks though, they'll really be after those.
It's a thick boy too. When you picked it up, I was like, dang, I knew it was, I'm thinking 365 stories is a lot. I'm not saying that it's not, but when you're in your head about it being smaller, you're not thinking when you picked that book up and I saw how big it was, I was like, Jesus, that's a lot bigger.
Almost 400 pages, right? So
than I was thinking it was going to be, right?
Look at that thickness there.
That's a thick book.
Pow.
That's like the density of your other two books, like put together and then some. It's huge.
This is the thickest my books will ever be. Everyone take a look. Because I am not going to write some 70,000 word epic. I cannot do that.
Yeah.
Maybe I can get 40,000 words out.
Yeah.
I'm coming out with a Mice and Men length books. All right. That is who I am. That's how I do it. There's no filler. I'm not smart enough to do that in my books. I can't describe things.
Sometimes brevity is what you need.
Yeah. Just right to the point. That's like, I know
like
people
books that read like movies, and your books read like movies, which is why I like them. They do. I mean, it's true.
Well,
and I think that's my personal preference because I I get impatient. If there's 30 pages of description, I'm skipping until the dialogue. Like, I don't have the time. Yeah. I don't have the time or the patience for that. Like, doesn't mean it's not beautifully written. Doesn't mean I don't respect it, but I got to keep it moving. It's got to keep going there. It'll lose me completely.
Yeah. If it's like page 40 and no one's head is falling off, what are we doing here? What's going on?
What genre is this?
What is this monstrosity here? I know people like their monsters and they like their gore, so I just get to it.
Yeah.
I got through it. And I guess that's the other thing about these is like there's no filler, there's no fluff in these stories. It is what it is.
Straight to the meat of it, which is perfect. That's perfect though.
Giving the people what they want.
Yeah.
Bam, right there.
Yeah.
There's no lollygagging around. That telekinetic kid is going to butcher that room full of people in the next sentence, and you'll figure that out. I know I've got a few of those in there too.
In the next sentence.
And she did it. Set up, she did it. All right, there you go.
There you go. If only like most Law and Order episodes went that way, right? You don't need the whole hour.
So much. Yeah.
He did it. Conviction.
Roll credits. Yeah.
Roll credits. It just lasts the whole gavel. Just the dun dun. Dun dun. That's it. That's the episode.
Yeah, each dun dun's a sentence. Dun dun.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun. All right, we're done. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's enough Law and Order episodes. It could easily make so many books. So many books.
So many. God,
so many microfictions.
Okay.
So many law-based microfictions.
Microcrime.
Microcrime.
That's gonna be the new genre.
Did Danny rob the liquor store? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dun, dun, that's it. My law stories need more work.
You just got to keep practicing. That can be your next one-a-day task.
A year spent in crime.
There you go.
A year in crime, a year in love.
Boom, you just got your whole you got like you could do a whole series.
I'll make sure that each book is like still my screaming face on the cover, but it'll be like with something else going on with it.
Oh my God.
A decrepit face with like a Santa hat on.
Like a decrepit face holding a gavel and like a little judge robe underneath. Like,
oh no.
But
it has to be.
It could be like.
It has to be your face every time, though.
It's gotta be all right. Sticking to it. Gemma, you hear? I'm reaching out after I get out here. We got a whole series.
Oh man.
I would love to do like a sequel to these books. So I would love to do another one. If there's enough, like, if it gets enough copies and there's enough, love around it, I would definitely
I think I think you're going to get that. I think you're going to get that. I'm not worried.
Well, it sounds like the microfiction is something you love. You're going to be doing it regardless, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't ever do this for the money. I don't write for the money.
Yeah.
There's not much anyways, but I love like doing it and giving people like an outlet from the world because the world's awful. So if I can, and I as growing up as a kid, like I used movies and books to like, escape from the world and kind of like have this kind of place of my own away from it. So if I can do that for people, that's what I love doing more than anything.
Yeah.
The money is nice too, if I got money, but that other aspect, it's a perk,
Yeah. Cool. So April 9th, pre-orders are available now. We'll have all of Radar's links for socials and stuff, as well as the pre-order link and where you can find the book in the description for this episode.
Ooh, thanks for having me on, y'all. I super appreciate it.
Yeah. Radar and I are scheming about some stuff that's going to come out soon. Well, we'll work towards it when we want to get it out, but we've got our own thing that we're working on to get ready to put out into the world. So it's always a blast talking to you and working with you, even though you call me out on Leprechaun stuff.
All right. I'll keep it to a low now.
I'm just going to start muting you.
Oh no.
When you start talking shit, I'm just going to hit that little microphone button.
You will be within your rights.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, like some of that AI censorship, it just sort of like blocks out any leprechaun mention.
Just any
Oh my
future episodes, just like, oh, we got the leprechaun word. Slur that out right now.
It's out.
Yeah.
Take that out.
All right.
Just to be safe, anything with St. Patty's Day, remove that. Let's get that out of there.
That's this as recording. That's like this weekend. It's like
Yeah, it's so
yeah.
close.
Oh, everyone watch out for the leprechaun.
Uh-oh. Better watch out for all 9 of them.
I might have to watch 1 or 2 though, just for the
only a
Don't do
couple,
it, Steve.
and then tell Radar that you only watched a couple.
I've seen at least up until Into Hood. I don't think I've seen the second Into Hood. I don't.
Yeah.
Was Space before or after?
Before.
So
I
that
don't
okay,
know.
so I've
Space
seen
was
that.
right before the Hood. Yeah,
Was it
Space.
before? Yeah, Hood
The
was
Hood.
like towards the end of them, right? That's like number
Yeah.
7,
5?
6.
5 or
There's
'cause
2
what
Hoods,
the-
I think. Right? I only saw.
Oh, there
Yeah,
is
there's
2.
2
You're right.
Hoods.
You're right. So yeah, maybe like 5. But yeah,
But
Yeah,
I
Leprechaun.
never saw the other, like the new ones.
I never saw that either.
Yeah, like the Sci-Fi
Re-
Channel one or
Reboot,
whatever.
I guess. I don't know.
There was like Origin, and
Yeah.
wasn't there one that like WWE put out?
I think that was the Origin one, right?
Is that
Yeah, I know what you're
Origin?
talking
I
about.
don't know.
Yeah, they have their own movie studio. So
I forget about that. Jesus. Yeah.
That is weird. That's strange.
Yeah.
Do they use wrestlers as actors in it, or is
they
it just
do actually.
Oh, okay. Okay, so there is some tie-in.
This is a tangent before we wrap up. Remember that movie Speak No Evil?
Yes, Kane.
Yeah.
That was a
Kane in that one?
WWE movie.
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there were wrestlers in that. Yeah.
Okay, well,
Kane played
all
the bad guy. He played the
He played the dude.
dude.
I don't know. He's like it's just a bad guy. I don't know what you'd call him, but yeah.
Yeah. A slasher?
It was a movie.
It was
a
definitely a movie.
Anywho, tangent aside.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks for coming on and chatting, Radar. It was nice to kind of get in your head about this project.
Yeah, I love talking about it. I love always talking to you guys. So always a fun experience, and getting the hype up just as tax season's winding down, so people will have those returns, looking to spend their sweet return money on some books, maybe.
Tax return books. Yeah. That's what it's all about.
That's where it can go. Yeah. Well, cool. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap up this episode of Author Interviews. Check out the links below. Pre-order a copy of this book. You won't regret it. Or if you want to wait and get a physical, do that too. Links on where to do all that will be in the description. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Have a good rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye.